Great to have you back, Fear Fiends, and welcome to the ultimate horror movie monster elimination death match to decide who is the greatest movie monster. We have had the division qualifying fights to establish who is the champion of their given division, and here are the results.
1 body horror Seth Brundle, Brundlefly. 2 comedy horror Gremlins. 3 cosmic horror Cthulhu. 4 creature feature The Thing from Another Planet. 5 folk horror Sommerell, The Wicker Man. 6 found footage Blair Witch. 7 gothic horror Count Dracula. 8 home invasion The Strangers. 9 paranormal romance Joe Black. 10 psychological horror Hannibal Lecter. 11 slasher Michael Myers. 12 splatter/extreme horror Jigsaw. 13 supernatural/ghost horror Pazuzu, The Exorcist. 14 survival horror Wrong Turn. 15 urban horror Candyman. 16 zombie/apocalyptic horror George Romero Zombies.
These have been randomly mixed into 8 pairs of qualifiers.
George Romero Zombies vs Pazuzu, The Exorcist. Cthulhu vs Jigsaw. Gremlins vs Michael Myers. Wrong Turn vs Seth Brundle, Brundlefly. Candyman vs Count Dracula. Joe Black vs The Thing from Another Planet. The Strangers vs Sommerell, The Wicker Man. Hannibal Lecter vs Blair Witch.
Some interesting matchups there, don't you think, Boris? Let's dive into the glorious chaos of these pairings, Boris, starting with our opening bout.
Matchup 1, George Romero Zombies vs Pazuzu, The Exorcist.
Our first glorious battle pits raw, overwhelming hunger against pure, concentrated evil. The slow, relentless tide of Romero's shamblers clashes with Pazuzu, a demon who twists reality from within a fragile host. Can a legion of the Walking Dead even perceive a spiritual entity, Boris? I'm sensing a beautiful existential crisis brewing.
Subject zombies operate on a low-level, biological imperative, ingestion. They lack the cognitive architecture for existential crisis. Pazuzu, conversely, is a high-level, psychological threat. My engagement model predicts a low-yield interaction. The zombies are immune to psychic torment, and Pazuzu lacks the physical mass to be overwhelmed. The deciding factor is often the environment or an external agent. Matchup 2, Cthulhu vs Jigsaw.
Oh, the sheer audacity of this matchup. The cosmic, reality-shattering dread of Cthulhu against the meticulously constructed, moralizing traps of Jigsaw. One wants to destroy your mind, the other wants you to appreciate your life. I'm afraid Jigsaw's philosophy might not survive contact with true, incomprehensible madness, Boris. Where are the statistics on unfathomable horror?
Subject Jigsaw's lethality metric relies exclusively on human-level decision-making and mechanical apparatus. Subject Cthulhu operates on a dimensional integrity violation scale. That discrepancy in threat magnitude registers at 99.99%. Jigsaw's trap efficacy drops to 0 when the opponent's existence violates Euclidean physics. This is a statistical anomaly, Doctor, favoring the cosmic entity decisively. Matchup 3, Gremlins vs Michael Myers.
This is pure, chaotic fun versus silent, methodical rage. Michael Myers, the peak of slasher efficiency, up against the Gremlins, a swarm of mischievous, multiplying mayhem. Michael is unstoppable, but can he hack his way through hundreds of creatures that multiply with a splash of water? It's efficiency versus saturation, Boris.
Subject Myers' kill rate consistency is high, averaging 1.2 terminations per active minute. However, the Gremlins exhibit a reproduction rate that outpaces Myers' disposal rate by a factor of 40:1, contingent on environmental water presence. Myers also lacks the area of effect capability needed to manage a horde. The swarm overwhelm probability is elevated at 78%. Matchup 4, Wrong Turn vs Seth Brundle, Brundlefly.
A gorgeous clash of grotesque bodily failure and brutal survival horror. The cannibalistic kin from Wrong Turn are pure, visceral menace, but Brundlefly is the ultimate expression of biological decay and raw, insectal strength. It's a battle of evolutionary adaptation against raw, backwoods malice. Who's the more repulsive predator, Boris? I can't decide.
Subject Brundlefly's strength-to-mass ratio is statistically superior, allowing for rapid combat engagement. The Wrong Turn family possesses pack tactics but relies on blunt weaponry and low-tech ambushes. Brundlefly's physical degradation profile also minimizes susceptibility to conventional injury. The Brundlefly dominance index is 65%, with the potential for high biofluid disbursement in the encounter. Matchup 5, Candyman vs Count Dracula.
The clash of urban legend and gothic royalty. Candyman, the hook-handed spirit of the projects, relying on belief and mirrors, against Count Dracula, the immortal vampire lord, demanding respect and blood. It's a battle of the power of story versus the power of history. Can Dracula's ancient charm survive Candyman's pervasive, mirror-hopping threat, Boris?
Subject Candyman's manifestation trigger, vocal invocation, is a clear operational vulnerability. Subject Dracula possesses superior, dimensional control, via classic supernatural abilities and exhibits immunity to conventional attack. Dracula's threat longevity rating is significantly higher. The vulnerability comparison favors Dracula, whose weaknesses are specific and exploitable, over Candyman's highly conditional appearance. Matchup 6, Joe Black vs. the Thing from Another Planet.
The ultimate heartbreaker versus the ultimate shapeshifter. Joe Black, death in the form of a handsome romantic lead, against the Thing, the master of cellular mimicry and paranoia. One weaponizes love and loss, the other weaponizes trust and identity. Which is the more insidious threat, Boris, the beautiful lie, or the ugly truth hidden beneath the skin?
Subject Joe Black operates under highly specialized, non-violent Reaper protocol. His mortality efficacy is indirect, focused on final acceptance. Subject Thing is a rapidly adaptive, highly aggressive cellular predator. The Thing's infection assimilation rate is exponential. Joe Black's lack of offensive capabilities places his survival metric at less than 1%. The Thing is statistically engineered for combat survival. Matchup 7, The Strangers vs. Samael, The Wicker Man.
Home invasion meets folk horror. The raw, anonymous dread of the strangers who kill, because you were home, against the chilling, ritualistic collective of the Wicker Man Samael. It's the terror of the random versus the terror of the ritual. Who is the more chilling representation of humanity's dark side, Boris?
The Stranger's attack efficacy is limited to small group engagement in contained domestic settings. The Samael cult possesses superior societal integration, high-level planning, and a large, dedicated population base. The Stranger's threat scale is localized, Samael's is systemic. The collective action multiplier of the cult results in an 85% PDI over the isolated attackers. Matchup 8, Hannibal Lecter vs. Blair Witch.
A delicious pairing of psychological elegance and ethereal environmental manipulation. Hannibal Lecter, the genius who devours the mind before the body, against the Blair Witch, who uses isolation, confusion, and sticks to drive you mad. Will the cannibal psychiatrist be able to psychoanalyze a ghost, or will the woods claim his sanity? This is a cerebral battle, Boris.
Subject Lecter's threat vector is purely intellectual and physical, optimized for controlled environments. The Blair Witch's threat vector is atmospheric, utilizing spatial disorientation indices and auditory hallucination to induce self-termination. Lecter's reliance on cognitive stability is a critical vulnerability. Without tangible engagement, Lecter's offensive efficacy approaches zero. The Blair Witch registers a high environmental dominance factor.
Well, we have to wait and see if our predictions pan out. Join us for the next episode. Until then, stay scary.